I'm figuring this out. Just bear with me. I think I'm everywhere present all the time. Hello, it is Wednesday night. Time for a little conscious mind tripping with me. I am Audrey Newmont, and I am me, myself, and I tonight. No guest. But I do want to say thank you so much for my last week's guest, Miss Anana Draper. And Nana, that's her name. She was amazing. And if you didn't get a chance to see it, I highly recommend it. And I'm looking here at my thing, and for some reason, this light seems to make me a little too bright. And I just turned it off, and it seems like I'm still a little bright. Maybe if I back up. Let's see how that works. I don't know. That does seem to work. So I'm backing it up. So I'm going to start with the announcements because that's what we do around here. And we just so happen to have a lot of announcements. We have, okay. So we have coming up this coming Sunday, the 19th, Get Out of Your Own Way with Anana Draper. And I highly recommend it. She was just on the show. We were talking about it last time. And her story is incredible. So she got out of her own way, made a lot of good things happen. Highly recommend it. You can be here live, or you can visit us on Zoom. We'll be taping it as well. And then on the 31st, we have Soul Surfing Through Your Past Lives workshop with Sandra Cindy Bloom. And that'll start at 6:30. So if you've ever been interested in past life regression, if you've got things going on in this lifetime that you're like, something's not adding up here, it might be you're carrying things around in the soul, in the ethers. And then on Saturday, June 15th, we have Gary coming and doing his constellation healing workshop, which is always amazing. He's been here many times now, and it's always a full house and a lot of fun. So that'll be a full day event. Then on Saturday, June 22nd, we have Alexandra channeling Golden Arrow and Nick channeling Merlin. And for those of you that know, that's my girl. When I'm having a moment, like a big moment, she's who I call. And every single time we get to our answers, or I get to my answers. So she will be here with Nick, and that is another fun day. And it's a full day workshop with the two of them. Then I just solidified it today on July 13th. We are having another psychic panel. And this time we're bringing in Gina Ann. She is one of our newest additions. And we, through Mary Elizabeth, will be here along with Nick. Nick will be here, and I'm missing one other person. Oh, and Nana. And Nana will be here. So it'll be the four of them having a panel. And then they will be having individual sessions at a great rate. And then the last one is our Focus on Success workshop, which we have just backed up to the 20th of July. So as you can see, we have a lot going on. And along with that, we are seeing clients and we have life. So today, I wanted to talk about something it's a little more close to home. And I'm gonna challenge us a little bit in everything that I'm about to talk about. So I had a really interesting week. I had the opportunity to tell 4 people in 2 days how impressed I have been with them. These people are doing the process. They are owning their lives in a new way. And it's just such a pleasure, literally a pleasure to be able to say that and to be able to witness it. Hey, Audie, you're in the house, and Nana's in the house. I'm just checking into these messages. So if you all have anything that you'd like to say, I should just go into here so I can see the comments better. If you have anything that you would like to share or say, please post it in the comments because I am looking. Oh, wait a minute. I've got two computers going here because I'm just getting so professional. I see you, Nana. There we go. All right, I see all your posts, your messages. So being able to say that to people it makes my day amazingly good. And there's also those days where it's like, wow, like I had the day before yesterday, and I'm telling you, it's like people are going through a moment. And I'm not sure if those solar flares had something to do with it, but I'm telling you, on Tuesday, I got home and I was just like, oh, and not because I'm in somebody's story, but I am there with them. And when people come in with the things that they're going through, sometimes there is a lot of empathy and there is that compassion. And so I do have that humanness of me where it's like, wow, this is one of those big moments for you. And I'm holding it in the highest. And I'm also, experiencing on my own level, an awareness of what they are dealing with. And some of it is just really, really big things, especially when you're a younger kid and there's a big, big thing that happens and there's a whole bunch of trauma and drama around it, which was one of the situations. And so what I wanted to talk about tonight is how those four people in the 2 days, and it's not just four people, I mean, I have a lot of people that are like really doing well in life. They come in with whatever that is, and they don't usually have the tools. So one of the things that I do is I put together this whole workbook, and it's basically do this kind of tools. And the first tool is about the picture tonight. It's that fear into power tool. And the reason for this picture is, like I was telling people, it's like using the car analogy. When you're doing that fear into power tool, it's like your windshield is all muddy. And when you're doing that tool, you're moving the mud aside so that you can see more clearly, so that you can go in the direction of your dreams. So I was saying this years ago, was when we were still upstairs. And one of the people in the group said, Audrey, what happens if I keep doing the fear into power tool and there keeps being a film on my windshield? I didn't miss a beat. And I said, well, that's when you need windshield wiper fluid. And that's me. I help give you the tools to get the rest of that film off so that you can do it. It was quite an amusing moment. So now I'm officially windshield wiper fluid, along with being a mechanic. So I was thinking about it, and Spirit guided me for today. I'm telling you, I was thinking about it yesterday. It's like, what in the world am I going to talk about? I really don't have any idea. And I think it was just before I went to sleep last night, Spirit said to check out my most favorite author, Napoleon Hill. I don't know why this is so bright. So somebody asked a question at a point. They said, if you were to meet anybody who's ever been alive, and you could meet anybody ever, who would the person be? And I did kind of think about, I'd like to meet Jesus at some point, but I think for now, I'll choose Napoleon Hill. I have read probably every book that I could find of his, and on Audible, listened to him on Audible doing his workshop. It's Napoleon Hill in his own words. And he was back in 1936-ish, during that period of time. And his first book that he wrote was Think and Grow Rich, which I think to this day is one of those foundational books for many people who are motivational speakers. Like I'm pretty sure Tony Robbins, different people have read his book, and like we all do, we gather all this information and then we put it out in our own words. So Napoleon Hill for me is just amazing. And I've listened to a few of his books a few times because there's always like another kernel of truth in it that I find to be just powerful. So as I was getting ready for today, I'm again letting Spirit guide me. And he has all these different books. This one, The Law of Success, which is an excellent book as well. And then he's got one of my favorites, Outwitting the Devil. This was one of the last, if not the last book that he wrote. And, let me just say hi really quick. Miss Karen's in the house. Kimberly is in the house. Good to see you all. And I know, so you love Napoleon too. So this book, Outwitting the Devil, I recommend to a lot of my clients. He, in this book, had already written Think and Grow Rich. And then he became very not rich and really in a moment in his life. So he talks about it in this book. And then he had a moment where he had a conversation with the devil. And it was really powerful. I have a feeling he was channeling when he did this. And in that conversation, there was just a lot of just good information and things to really get you thinking. And that book in particular, I'm telling you, it's like, especially when I have people who have been in the challenges of addiction, that can be a really powerful book to put people on track again. And that book in particular, it was written way back then. And when Napoleon Hill's wife was alive, she said, "You're not putting that book out in my lifetime." So he honored that. And then she passed. And her sister said, "You're not putting that book in my lifetime either." They honored that. And that book did not get published until 2010. And somebody brought it to the woman who was the head of the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and she got it, and she just literally couldn't put it down. She said she stayed up all night reading it because it was just so incredible. So Napoleon Hill, in my opinion, is just a super wise man. And so what he did is, back then, he was commissioned by Carnegie, which he calls Carnegie, and he was commissioned to write principles for life. And so he also interviewed people like Ford and Edison and different people who were like at the top at that time. And he took all this information and he put it into his own words and created Think and Grow Rich and all the other things that he created. But that Outwitting the Devil was him using all that information in a way that was constructive for him. So that brings me to this one, because this is the one Spirit said to focus on today. And I'm thinking you can't see it. I don't know why it's so bright in here. Anyway, this one is called How to Own Your Own Mind. And I made some bookmarks in it because there's some things that were said that I think are just amazing. And I want to get to one of them in particular. So he has here some known facts. This is when I put on my little glasses. I don't have my peepers anymore, so these aren't as fun, but we'll have to just deal with them. Anyhow, wonder how we get it not so bright. Hold on one second. Let me try something. Is this better? A little bit. That's just my little light on my desk. It's very strange. Well, now I can't read. You're just going to have to put up with it being bright. Okay. So one of the things that I bookmarked were some of the known facts concerning the nature of thought. And in that, I'm not going to read it, even though I bookmarked it. I thought it was amazing. And there are a whole bunch of different pointers for thought. But where I really wanted to go to was when in this book, he is having a conversation with Carnegie, Andrew Carnegie. And it's Andrew Carnegie's views on organized thinking. So when you're looking at the tools that I give people, one of the things that I do is I show them what their mind is like, how the theory of mind works. And if you look at it, it's your subconscious mind, your conscious mind, that critical thinking part of your mind. And I teach people how to understand their thinking more, how to be more aware of their thinking, and how to use their thinking in a new way, kind of like what he's talking about here. So, like, for instance, these 4 clients, they're doing that along with a whole bunch of other people. That's one of the keys in life, because when you're looking at that part of your mind, that thinking that we have, that's the controller. It's literally the controller. And then the 3 buttons, like you guys have heard every week: intention, attention, and your perception. So when you are using the controller in a way that works for you, that makes everything happen. I want to get into a little bit about what they said, and it's not a huge long read, and we're going to talk about it as I'm reading it. And again, I'm looking at the comments if you have any questions. Okay, here we go. So this interview took place in Mr. Carnegie's private study more than 30 years ago while the great steel master was coaching his protege, Napoleon Hill, in preparation for the organization of the philosophy of American achievement. So that's what they called it, the philosophy of American achievement. So they put together this whole philosophy at that time to help people become more successful, more powerful, more in charge of their life. So this is Napoleon Hill. He said, "You have explained that an important principle of individual achievement is organized thought. You have stated also that no one may be sure of success without the ability to organize his thinking habits. Therefore, will you go ahead, Mr. Carnegie, and explain the meaning of the term organized thought? I have a general idea what that means, but I would like to have a detailed statement of its meaning, also a clear understanding of how this principle is applied in the particular affairs of life." One of the things I like about Napoleon Hill is his command of the language and how direct he is in the questions and then the things that he puts into word. It's a gift. So then Carnegie says, "Before discussing the organization of thought, let us examine thought itself. What is thought? With what do we think? Is thought subject to individual control? Thought is a form of energy that is distributed through the brain, but it has one peculiar quality unknown in connection with all other forms of energy. It has intelligence. Thought can be controlled and directed towards the attainment of anything man may desire. In fact, thought is the only thing over which any person has complete, unchallenged control." Did you hear that? That piece right there. I'm going to read this and I'm going to tell you a little quick story. Thought can be controlled and directed towards the attainment of anything man may desire. In fact, thought is the only thing over which any person has complete, unchallenged control. That part of complete, unchallenged control. That to me is one of the most important things. I was with a group of practitioners and we were playing it's not a game, we were doing a process. And in that process, we each had 25 pieces of paper. And in those 25 pieces of paper, you wrote down your favorite people, your favorite places, your favorite things, your favorite beliefs, and some other thing. So during the process, we're going through the process of death and dying. And so each time we would get to a certain place, we'd have to give away a piece of paper. And we gave away all the pieces of paper, and we get to the very end. And I'm at the very end. I'm imagining I'm at the end of my days. And I had this one piece of paper left. That was the paper. I get to control my thinking, my thoughts, even in this moment. And that was the most important thing. Because when you're on that deathbed, I mean, all these people, all these things, all these places, all of it, when you have your ability to own what you choose to think at that point, that makes it all okay for the most important person, right? So the system of control is so complete that no one may penetrate the mind of another without his consent, although this system of protection often is so loosely guarded that one's mind may be entered at by will by any person skilled in the art of thought interpretation. Many people not only leave their minds wide open for others to enter and interpret their thoughts, but they voluntarily disclose the nature of their thoughts by unguarded expressions of speech and their personal conduct, their facial expression, and the like. Keep that in mind. We're going to get into that in a minute here. So Hill said, is it safe for no one to leave his mind open to free entry by others? Carnegie says, just about as safe as leaving the door to one's house unlocked with all one's valuables left inside the house, except that the loss of purely material things is as nothing compared with the loss one may suffer by leaving his mind open to entry by any stray tramp who may wish to go in and take possession. You see, the habit of leaving one's mind open and unguarded not only permits other people to enter and become familiar with one's most private thoughts, but this habit permits all sorts of tramp thoughts released from the minds of others to enter one's mind. Hill says, you believe then that thoughts do pass from one mind to another? Carnegie says, yes. One's mind is being constantly bombarded with the impulses of thought released from the minds of others, especially those with whom we come into close contact daily. I'm going to pause right there because I want you to really think about who we let in closely daily. So it's not just who we're talking to. It's like, for instance, right now, I'm talking with you and we're talking very constructively and we're learning and we're growing and I'm sharing, I think, valuable information. So if you were to look at this with your critical mind, is this something I would want to take into my mind? Yeah, I guess. Seems to be helping. I have those 4 people, just 2 days. So you're also, when we're watching TV, when we're watching the movies, when we're listening to music, when we're doing many things, our mind is open to other people's influence. And it is having an effect. We are at the effect of someone else. So let's see what else Carnegie says here. I'm going to read this part again. Yes, one's mind is being constantly bombarded with the impulses of thought released from the minds of others, especially those with whom we come into close contact daily. Mark my little self there. Just as an example, I used to listen to CNN all the time. I left the door open and I believed it and didn't realize that They were allowed to share propaganda, not really tell the truth, just tell where they wanted you to go, where they wanted me to go, in my mind. One negative-minded workman, if left to associate with other workmen, will pass on his negative thoughts to every other person within the range of his influence, although he never speaks a word or makes a single move indicating his state of mind. I have seen this very thing happen so often that I could not be mistaken about it. Hill says, and that is why you emphasize so strongly the necessity of harmony between men associated in a mastermind alliance. So I want to talk about the mastermind alliance. That's one of the things that Hill talks about in his tools, is having a mastermind alliance of people that you are sharing constructive ideas, constructive beliefs, that you are masterminding with in a way that is uplifting to the whole group. Another way to look at it is when you are in prayer with people and they say, when two or more are gathered. So when you have a group of people who are in a mastermind alliance, that's when you are looking at things, you are doing the critical mind process, and you're looking at things with more logic, more reasoning. People are sharing ideas and checking each other on, how do we all make this better? So as an example, here at our center, it's a big mastermind alliance as far as I can gather. Nick and I mastermind all the time together. And Nana, you've been masterminding with us. Heather Grace Powers is in the house. You're another part of our mastermind team. So is Audie and Karen. All of you that are right now on this. Kimberly, you're not here in person, but you're another part of this as well. So when we all gather, that's my intention. That's why I do what I do here. That's why I bring in all these different practitioners. It's important for us all to be in an alliance with each other. And for instance, all these events that I was just talking about, all of these events are part of a mastermind. So everybody in all of these events is sharing their wisdom, their knowledge, their tools that help to make all of our lives better. So when he's talking here about a mastermind alliance, I want you to think about in your life, where's your mastermind? Who are the people that you mastermind with? And if you don't have somebody, there's a part of it where how can you create a mastermind? I'll give you the example. I have had quite a few people that have on their first, second sessions, it's like the people that they're hanging around with aren't so, let's just say, constructive. They're more destructive. They hang around with people who are in habits that aren't in the highest and best for the health of the body, the health of the mind, the spirit. They're, as Napoleon Hill would say, they're grifters. So this is one of those things that you want to look at in your life, because that's what we do here in conscious mind tripping. It's like, how am I tripping through life consciously? So you look at the people around you, and are they the kind of people that will support you in creating your best life? Or are they leading you astray? And if they are leading you astray, maybe this is an opportunity to be the leader and do your mastermind and, maybe create some new habits within your network of people. Mr. Newmont just went home. Just saw him drive by. Karen says, I learned just by being in the room with you without a word spoken. Wisdom osmosis. I love that. That's cool. It's energy. That's that quantum intelligence. We could all, in fact, I'm feeling this wave of energy now as I'm saying this. We could all just sit in a room together and just be in that, just be in that vibe. And you're right. You just bring in that energy from each other. You're bringing it in through the field and you're just holding that. And when people meditate together, That's where you really get some amazing wisdom. You're all bringing that in together. So thanks for sharing that, Karen. And so I'm going to reread that last statement. Though Hill said, and that is why you emphasize so strongly the necessity of harmony between men associated in a mastermind alliance. So Carnegie says, that is one of the major reasons why I have emphasized the importance of harmony. The chemistry of the brain as such that the mind power of a group of men can be organized so it functions as one unit of power only when there is perfect rapport between the minds of the individuals. So you can't have that part of it where you're in your fear feelings and you're harboring things and you're suppressing and you're resenting or anything. There's got to be this ability between all of the people, like here. I mean, we all talk with each other. If there's a challenge, we bring it up, we look at it, we discuss it, and we let it go. And we don't have a lot of drama going on here because there is that harmony. And that's why when a lot of people come in our door, they're like, this feels so calm and so peaceful. It's because we have created that environment. We've created that opportunity for a higher vibration. And then Hill says, one of the important steps in organized thought seems to be that of the mastermind alliance, through which men pool their mind power, their experience, education, and knowledge, and move in response to a common motive. Is this right? Is this the right idea, Mr. Carnegie? He says, it's easier with these glasses going on and off. Okay. Carnegie says, you have stated the matter perfectly. You might have said that the mastermind alliance is the most important step one may take in connection with organized thought, for that is true. But organized thought begins with the organization of the individual's thinking habits. To become an effective member of a mastermind alliance, an individual must first form definite, controlled habits of thought, and that's with an exclamation mark. A group of men working together under the mastermind principle, each whom has so disciplined himself that he controls his thought habits, represents organized thought of the highest order. As a matter of fact, there can never be full assurance of harmony in a mastermind group unless each member of the group is so self-disciplined that he can control his own thoughts. Hill says, do I understand you to say that an individual may actually discipline himself so that he controls the nature of his thoughts? Carnegie says, yes, that is true. But remember that one gains control over his thoughts by forming definite thought habits. You know, of course, that when habits are once formed, they function automatically without any voluntary effort on the individual's part. And Hill says, but Mr. Carnegie, isn't it very difficult for one to force his mind to function through definite habits? How may one go about this sort of self-discipline? And I'm going to pause here because when I was talking about those 4 people, and I'm telling you, it's just in 2 days, 4 people. I mean, I have a whole bunch of people that have owned their thought. So it's super important to get. People have a tendency to think, oh, you know what, this is who I am. It's just who I was born to be. This is just the nature of myself. If that was true, and granted, yes, there are those of us on the planet who there are chemical imbalances, and there is people with a massive amount of trauma that it is a lot to work through on your own. And I'm not denying all of that. So what I am saying is, as an example, I've had many clients come in here that have said, I've been diagnosed bipolar. All right. I don't usually go with a diagnosis. I look at things and I use the information that they're sharing with me to help them to see where they have gotten this idea of being bipolar. So when they start understanding and using the tools and connecting themselves, their ego and the adult, and they're using their emotions and they're understanding their thoughts, it's a process. But on the other end of it, it's like maybe they're not bipolar, maybe they were just dissociated. So for a large majority of people, there is this process of owning your own mind. And I want to get into that for a minute here because I think it is, in this moment in time, wildly important for all of us to be owning our own mind. So I want you to, in your own life, and if you can, get a piece of paper and a utensil to write with, and I want you to think about how many people you're allowing into your mind. How much TV, how much social media. That's a big one. That is a big one. It's sometimes subtle. Oh, but it's a big one. And I want you to think about it like this. Like, I have algorithms. If I'm zipping through Instagram or whatever, if I'm looking at my ex Twitter, there's a part of it where they learn your rhythm, your algorithms. So when you're zipping through there and you're scrolling, there's dopamine, serotonin, and then there is something that catches you. Ugh, that doesn't feel good. Let me just keep scrolling past that. You may keep scrolling past that, but your brain paused and your brain got it. So when you are in those scrolling moments, a lot of my clients have asked them, it's like, how do you normally feel when you are off of it or when you're in it? And a lot of times they don't feel that good. They don't feel happy, joyful, lightness in their being. They feel anxiety, stress, worry. And it's designed for that, some of these things. So same thing with if you're watching TV. Like Nick and I have told you all this before, but it's super important. We are really conscious about what we're watching. And we'll pick a show and we'll watch it on a regular basis at the end of the day if we just want to unwind. But usually it's something that's light, it's benign, and it's not going to manipulate my mind. And even if there is a show where there's subtle things, I'll mention it and we'll catch those things and we'll be like, no, erase. So look at the different parts of your life. Look at the music that you're listening to. When you're listening to it, do you feel lighter? Do you feel good? Like, there's this guy I've been listening to on Instagram. He has this dance music, and it has got hurts that are healing for the body. And there's a chant in there that is like really on point. It's good. So I don't mind listening to something like him. But if you're listening to music that makes you just, there was a comedian we listened to one time, and he said, it's that slit your wrist love songs that just make you just want to cry and just go crazy. Hi. Come in and say hi. I was just talking about you.
Oh God, what I do now.
I'm talking about how when we're at the end of the day and we're listening to or watching TV, look how bright it is. I don't know why it's doing that. Now turn down all the lights. Anyway, how we are making a conscious decision, conscious choice on what we take into our minds.
Right.
So you just came up in the conversation.
What conscious choice did I make?
Well, like for instance, the show that we're watching right now, it's fun, it's interesting.
Right. Oh, you're talking about Royal Pains?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of things you can watch that aren't going to trigger that unconscious stuff.
Right.
We're also talking about mastermind alliances and how this place is a huge mastermind. I've been talking about how to own your own mind with Napoleon Hill. He has no idea what I'm doing tonight.
Yep. So I'm just saying hi.
He's just popping in to say hi.
And I'll go drum up dinner.
You're going to go drum up some dinner.
All right. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Yes. And he'll be on Tuesday. Who's your guest on Tuesday?
Kara is doing the Rasha machine.
Yes.
Yes. And then on the 28th, Craig Shoemaker.
Craig.
Yes.
I
So
have to
two
call him
really
back.
good guests.
So Kara has this machine that she has been bringing here, and it's called the Rasha. You can look it up. Nick has been on it like 3 times now, and he is, as you can imagine, very, very sensitive to energies, and he's loving it. He can feel where it's actually working in his body, and it has been incredible for him. So if you're interested, contact him or myself, and we'll get you in touch with Kara, because I mean, that machine is just amazing. It's using scalar wave energy, and that is the energy of the moment where it's amazing. Consciousness is the foundation of healing, is what it has here on their brochure. And it is a quantum access technology relaxation system. It's scalar plasma crystalline sound technology. It's pretty amazing. And it's been doing very good things for a lot of people for a while. So the reason why I'm saying all of this is because in this moment in time, there's all of this stuff out there. There's all of this information, and a lot of it is very scary. And it's super important to bring yourself to your own mind and be very present with yourself on what am I feeling here? What's going on with me? And bringing in people around you that will help to realign and redirect when there is all of this stuff that is, very scary. And Nana is saying in here, hope you have been stung. I'm missing that part. So somebody asked me today, because I have said this, and I have said this to a few of my clients, when you're in this moment that we're in, there's all these things that are going on. And I don't know any of us that's actually going to predict this is for sure what's going to happen in the future. But what I can tell you is we're all in for a moment of changes. And we're talking about the financial system, probably in the political system, in all the different systems that we have going on. It is a lot of very valid, absolutely happening kind of things. And so when my client was asking me, when you said that, what exactly do you mean? It's like somebody said to me recently, they said that they went to college and they learned business. And so they know what's going on. And this person is on the older side. So what we learned in business back then, business is all different now. And there's a lot of changes with, like, for instance, just even AI, artificial intelligence. So business doesn't operate the same. And our financial system, it's not operating the same. Our financial system, you all can look it up. There is a lot of changes that are happening in the financial world. Like Nick was just talking on Mainstream Metaphysics last night about the financial system. He looked up the astrology for, I believe it was the stock market. And he was mentioning that in 25, there's some aspects coming up that are going to be really interesting and pretty changing. And so the reason why I bring all of this up is it's already beginning now. Like if you look at the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, there's a whole bunch of other countries that are signing on with them. And it's not about our United States dollar. They're creating a whole new financial structure, a whole new system. And so it's a matter of time before we have a change in our system. Like, for instance, you look at some of the other countries, they're creating a digital currency and they're creating an avenue where people go to the bank. They can't get their money out. They can't get their actual physical coins, their dollars, their whatever their country's currency is. So when you hear this, there's a part of it is like, oh no, we would never. Well, if you look at the different things that have already happened, like for instance, I go to the airport the last time I was there, they wouldn't take my money. They can't take my physical cash. And so when you are looking at there is a big change, it's already being applied, it's already happening. And it can go this way or it can go this way. A lot of it depends on our consciousness. It depends on our masterminding as a collective, being in the macrocosm and not in our own little microcosm of what's going on. So why I have been pushing so hard for us to create that awareness and to have that understanding is because when we're informed, when we are clear and we have the information in our head that is aligned with where we can all go, then there we can go. But if you're thinking, now there's no changes happening, life is the same, everything's going to be the same, it's not the same. And when you're aware, like for instance, if you think the CBDC is a good idea, there's a part of it where already in other countries where they have that version of it, if they don't like what you're doing, they're not going to give you the money. And so there's a part of it where we all have to step back and be clear on where we're at with things and be aware of what we can collectively do together in this great mastermind that we're in. Let me see if you guys have any questions. It's the, oh, yes. All right, and I get it. So I wanted to share all of that with you because like when she was asking me, what are these changes that you're talking about? You can, how do I say this exactly? You can look at these changes and for many people, it's like they don't like change. Everybody wants to stay in their little groove, in their homeostasis. And this is how it's been. And I like it here. This is a good place to be. And I think when we're looking at it, sometimes people can look at this idea of change and they can get in fear about it. And that would be understandable. But when you're looking at it from a place of being connected and you are coming from your position of power, like I'm not afraid of anything that's coming up. I get it that there could be an awkward moment. I get it. There could be something. I get it. But my mind is locked and loaded on the best and highest is happening for humanity. The best and highest is happening and we are creating it. So as these things are going down, it's like there was a little video of this kitten. This kitten is like doing like this, and it's literally brushing away stress, anxiety, worry. No, not going there. Anxiety can't live in the same place as being calm. So when you are holding yourself and all of it in the highest and best for humanity, there you go. But if you have been in a moment where, like Mr. Carnegie says and Napoleon Hill says, where other people have gotten into your mind, you've left the door open and these ideas, these thoughts of what could possibly happen start entering, then maybe that's what could possibly happen. So it's a really important time to make the choices for yourself on what you're going to let into your mind, how you're going to manage all that. So, for instance, those people that I'm talking about that have leveled up in their lives and they're really doing well on so many levels, they have eliminated some of those things that they used to do. They've changed their habits. They've changed their beliefs on quite a lot of things about themselves in their life. And so what they have done, and here's the main tool, is that fear into power tool that I was starting to talk about before. So how you use that tool every single time that you're worried, that you're stressed, that you're anxious, that these things are going on, that's your mind being open to something else. When you have that awareness, oh, I'm being anxious here, that's the point where you stop the car. You got mud on your windshield, you're not seeing clearly. So you stop the car and you check, what am I feeling? The feeling comes first every single time. The feeling is the most important thing. So I'm feeling anxious. Then you do the critical thinking. So I'm anxious means that I'm here. Where am I? And you still can't see it. I'm going to have to fix this light thing. So you're in that subconscious part of your mind. You're in the unconscious. You're in the program. And it could be anybody implanted the program. Could be whatever happened, a trauma, a drama. Could be anything that put the roadmap there. So when you recognize this is faulty thinking, nothing wrong with it, nothing bad. When you recognize it, where did this come from? Oh, yeah, I had this thing that happened back there, or somebody said that to me, or it's in the 0 to 8. This is mom's program, dad's program. Doesn't make mom or dad bad. Doesn't make anything wrong. It just means, oh, this is just a part of the program. I'm being the third person observer looking at what the thing is. So then you're in the process of, oh, I get it. This is just that program I'm running. I want to create a new mind road, a new road in my mind that looks like this. So when you're in that moment of, say, anxiety, is it true? Is it real? Am I just imagining something? I'm going to create a new roadmap in my mind that says, I'm going to be calm right now. I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to bring myself back to calm by maybe breathing, maybe taking a walk out in my backyard in nature, focusing on being present in this moment where I am okay right now. And I'm creating the future. That imagination, not creating the future I want. So I will bring it back to me owning my mind. So same thing with stress, worry, even with anger and all the other feelings. So it's super important when you're doing that process on the power side, the fear into power, I am. So when I'm saying all these changes are coming about, I think a lot of them are great. I think it's going to be fantastic, to be perfectly honest. I think we're creating an amazing future. And I truly believe that there's a lot of things that we have all been very unaware of that are getting cleared out to make way for a great future for everyone, the best and highest happening for humanity. So if I'm having a moment, which I don't have very many of those anymore, but if there is one that comes up, I got to look at, what am I believing here? What's this thing? And bring it back to what I can know to be true for myself in this choice point moment where I am that I am. So when I'm saying that there's going to be a lot of changes coming about, it's all good. It's not going to be fun, maybe. Maybe some of it might be challenging. Maybe some of it will be challenging just to be aware of, and it's not actually even happening to you. So be clear on any of these moments and be clear on what it is that your intention is for the future. What do you want? You know, that's where you have to put your thoughts. If they're floating around in what fear can be caused through all the different ways that fear can be caused, then you've opened the door. If you look at the car analogy, it's like you're driving along. Oh, here, come on in, get in the back seat. And you've allowed somebody to get in the back seat that's kind of directing your traffic. They're sitting next to your little kid in the back seat. It's kind of like I have that thing with the bus analogy for single people and when you're creating new friends and whatever in your life. This is a different kind of version of it where you have to be very aware. Do I have my mastermind in my car? Or have I allowed something that is not working for me in my car? And you can kick them out at any time. You can let them go. Here, I pulled over at a bus stop. You're out. So it's important in this moment because we are in a lot of changes. It's not a bad thing, but you want to be prepared. You want to be cognizant of what you're doing in this moment because it's just a lot of changes, a lot of stuff, and it needs to happen. Oh my, it's 56, 6:56. I have 4 minutes left. Let me see if you guys have any questions. Our entire world is rebirthing. Yes, everything. To quote Louise Hay, every word we think and speak is an affirmation. Exactly. And we need to choose deliberately. Yeah, because sometimes we have negative affirmations. I don't have enough time. I don't feel good. I'm always tired. You know, those your body listens to. Those things we're creating all the time. So again, be in the moment and really be clear on where your thoughts are. That's your power. Your thoughts are your power. Your words are your power. That's what is being sent out ahead of you to create your experience, your feelings. All those things combined are, you know, paving the road that you're driving. So I was just telling somebody today, I said they are creating something. They want it to happen. You know, they're something in their business. And I said, oh, it's that part of the car analogy where you're driving up your 101 freeway to San Francisco. And along the way, you're paying attention because the minute you start thinking, I can't, you've driven off to wherever. So when you're thinking, I am, and you have that enthusiasm behind it, you've got that grr in there. It's like, it's happening. I see the vision. And that's what Inanna talks about as well. You know, it's like you want to see that vision. You want to own it. And so for all of us right now, if we're going through a little bit of a hurricane, we're going to get on the other side of it. But you stay in the calm in the middle of the storm. I am grounded, centered, focused. The best and highest is happening for all of humanity. And as we move through this, the riffraff, as Napoleon Hill would say, the tramps are getting eliminated, and it's clearing the path for that rainbow. It's clearing the path for the good that's happening for everyone. So it's a necessary thing to happen. And keep checking yourself. Am I okay? I'm okay. Is my family okay? Yeah, they're okay. Might be a little rocky, but they're okay. Keep focused on where you're at and where you're going. Super important because there's a great future ahead of us and you got to own it. So in this last minute, I want you to know I love you all very much. I very much appreciate all of you that have come on here and you are in my little chat with me. It's fun to talk with you. And for those of you that have watched this later, thank you so much. And for all of you, you're welcome to share. And I will be back here again next week, same time. And I'll see if I have a guest or not. In the meantime, have a beautiful week. And again, I love you all very much. Good night.